My sister thought her blind date was too stiff and boring, so she refused to marry him. I saw my chance and married him instead. And somehow, I even got a daughter out of it. After the wedding, my husband handed over his entire paycheck and took care of all the housework. The only flaw in this otherwise perfect arrangement was that my stepdaughter didn't seem to like me very much. At least, that was what I thought. Until one day, I came across a post online. "The new mommy smells so nice. How can I make her sleep with me at night?" Someone noticed right away that the poster was talking about a stepmother and advised, "Don't even think about it. You're not her real child. She won't sleep with you." The owner of the post immediately got anxious. But Daddy isn't her real child either, so why does Daddy get to sleep with her? The internet found it hilarious and started teasing her on purpose. "Then you'll just have to steal her away from your dad." That night, my 5-year-old stepdaughter suddenly pushed open our bedroom door. With the most serious expression on her tiny face, she looked straight at my husband and said, "Daddy, let's play rock paper scissors. Whoever loses has to sleep alone tonight." Welcome to History channel. Subscribe to follow all our latest adventures. Story begins. After I married Adrian Vance, everyone was waiting to see me make a fool of myself. But only I knew how ridiculously comfortable my married life actually was. My in-laws had passed away early, so there was no mother-in-law drama to deal with. My husband might have been a little stiff and dull, sure, but he handed over his entire paycheck and took care of all the housework. I became a mother without going through childbirth, and got a daughter for free. 5-year-old Emily Vance looked as delicate and pretty as a little porcelain doll, cuter than any toy doll I had ever seen. My greatest joy every day was holding up my phone and taking photo after photo of her. Then I would post them online and ask, "Can my daughter be a child model?" Married life turned out far better than I had imagined. The only flaw was that Emily Vance didn't seem to like me. She was always cold and indifferent toward me. She would rather smile at the kitten than open her mouth and say a word to me. This went on for several months. Just when I had completely run out of ideas, I accidentally came across a post online. The person who made the post seemed to be in a situation similar to Emily Vance's. Her parents were divorced, and her father had married a new wife. The difference was, the poster seemed to like her stepmother very much. She kept asking the internet how she could get closer to her. "There's a new mommy at home. How can I make her like baby?" The replies came flooding in. "Kid, that's not a new mommy. That's a stepmom. Do you know what a stepmom is? A very scary creature. She'll steal your dad, spend all your family's money, and then kick you out of the house. Stepmoms are all bad. Listen to Auntie. What you need to do now is stick tightly to your dad, and never get too close to your stepmom. If she gives you snacks or toys, don't just accept them. Those are all little tricks to buy you off." The poster replied, "Huh, are all your new mommies that bad? But my new mommy smells so nice. She doesn't smell like a bad person. Even the kitten at home likes rubbing against her. I want to rub against her too. Is there any way I can sleep with her at night?" The internet immediately declared that the poster was far too innocent. Afraid she might be tricked, everyone started earnestly analyzing the situation for her. Some even shared all kinds of stories about vicious stepmothers mistreating their stepdaughters. Finally, someone advised her, "Don't even think about it. You're not her real child. She won't sleep with you." The poster instantly panicked. She sent several replies in a row. "But Daddy isn't her real child either. So why does Daddy get to sleep with her? Daddy snores when he sleeps. Very loudly too. One time, new mommy even said Daddy's feet were stinky and kicked him onto the couch. Baby doesn't snore. Baby washes her feet every day. Why can't baby sleep next to new mommy?" Everyone started laughing and asking how old the poster was, and whether she had started school yet. The poster said she was 5 years old, and already a big kid in elementary school. The replies became even more unhinged. "I'm dying laughing. Does your dad know you exposed all his secrets just so you could sleep with your new mommy? Dad? Thanks. I hate it. Wait. A 5-year-old can type that much? Person above, did you forget voice to text exists?" Outside the screen I couldn't help smiling like a proud auntie. Kids these days really were clever little gremlins. At such a young age they already knew how to go online with a phone. Back when I was that age, I was still playing with mud in the village. Holding my phone I left a comment too. "Poster, what perfume does your new mommy use? Can you send a link?" Of course, I didn't actually want to buy the perfume. I was just desperate. I had tried everything but Emily Vance still refused to talk to me. In fact, she seemed to dislike me more and more. Every time she saw me, her little face would flush bright red with anger. The poster didn't reply to me. Because someone had given her a new idea. If you want to sleep with your new mommy, then steal her away from your dad. I understand now, thank you, Auntie. The internet froze. What exactly do you understand? I was joking, don't take that seriously. Judging from the poster's reply, she really likes that stepmom. Looks like she took it seriously. Person above, you still have time to delete your account. Be careful her dad doesn't come after you. The post was so entertaining that I kept clicking back in from time to see if there were any updates. Before I knew it, it was already 11 at night. Sleepiness washed over me. I turned off my phone and was just about to go to bed when our bedroom door was suddenly pushed open a tiny crack. A small little figure squeezed in through the gap. Emily. It's so late, what's wrong? My husband Adrian Vance sat up in bed. Emily Vance's chubby little face was filled with solemn determination. Daddy? She said seriously, let's play rock paper scissors. Whoever loses has to sleep alone tonight. My husband froze for a moment. He clearly didn't understand what was going on, but he still obediently played along. Round 1. Emily Vance threw scissors. Adrian Vance threw rock. Adrian won. Round 2. Emily threw rock. Adrian threw paper. Adrian won again. The little girl's face slowly darkened, and her eyes turned visibly red. They were really getting red. I secretly pinched Adrian Vance under the blanket. What kind of adult was he? Couldn't he let the child win just a little? Under my silent warning, round 3 began. This time Adrian Vance quietly threw the game. Emily finally won one round. But overall she had still lost. All right, Adrian said. Game over, you should go back to your own room and sleep now. Emily Vance lowered her little head, her tiny lips pressed tightly together. She stood there without moving. She looked so pitiful and wronged that no one with a heart could possibly stay firm. Forget it, I said. Let her sleep here tonight. The little girl immediately lifted her head, her eyes filled with surprise and joy. Okay, Adrian said. Then the 3 of us can squeeze in together tonight. I quickly cut in, my tone a little awkward. What I meant was, Emily and I will sleep here. You can sleep in the guest room. I had my own little plan. I wanted to use this chance to get closer to Emily Vance. With Adrian Vance around, he would only get in the way of my performance. He paused. Then, after I shot him a look, he obediently picked up his pillow and left the room. Once the door closed, only the 2 of us were left inside. The little girl curled up beside me, delicate and soft, looking so much like a doll it almost didn't feel real. I stared at her for a while. Then I cleared my throat, planning to ask, do you have trouble sleeping in a new bed? But because I was too nervous, what came out instead was, do you wet the bed? The room went silent for 3 whole seconds. The little girl's face turned bright red with a whoosh. I hurriedly opened my mouth, desperate to explain, but the person beside me had already rolled over. All she left me was a small, angry back. Me. I silently raised my hand and slapped my own mouth. Useless mouth. Other than eating, what could it even do? For the entire night, the little girl kept her back turned to me. I didn't dare say another word either. I was afraid this cursed mouth of mine would say something wrong again. I had never been a very well-behaved sleeper, and on top of that, I had never shared a bed with such a young child before. I was afraid I might roll over in the middle of the night and accidentally crush her, so I kept inching closer and closer to the edge of the bed, trying to leave her as much space as possible. Sometime in the middle of the night, half asleep and dazed, I felt a small soft little bundle slowly wriggle into my arms. It was probably the kitten sneaking onto the bed again. Without thinking I reached out and pulled it into my arms, hugging it tightly. Hee hee. Soft and warm and squishy. It felt so nice. The next morning Adrian Vance took Emily Vance to school. His workplace and Emily's school were in the same direction. Usually he would drop her off on his way to work, and I would pick her up in the evening. Our division of labor was surprisingly smooth. During breakfast I casually opened the post I had seen yesterday again. To my surprise the poster had updated. In the comment section she reported her progress to everyone, saying that she had beaten her dad at rock paper scissors, and successfully stolen new mommy to her side. But between the poster's words, there was a faint trace of disappointment. New mommy doesn't seem to like me. She asked me if I wet the bed. When we slept, she stayed really far away from me, and didn't talk to me either. Aunties, how can I make new mommy believe that I'm a big kid, and I don't wet the bed? The comment section exploded instantly. Every reply carried the tone of I knew it. What did I tell you? There's no such thing as a good stepmom. A woman willing to marry a man with a child is definitely after his money. Don't expect someone like that to truly love the child. All that gentleness and kindness during the day was probably just an act for your dad. Now that your dad isn't there, she can't even be bothered to pretend. Sweetheart, listen to auntie. Don't bother with that bad woman anymore. Be good to your dad instead. That's what really matters. Don't let that bad woman drive you out of your own home. When I saw the words wet the bed, and then thought back to all the details from the previous post, my heart gave a sudden thump. The person who made this post was clearly Emily Vance. My finger slid down the screen, and I saw Emily Vance frantically replying, "New mommy is not a bad woman. She picks me up from school every day. Last time I had a fever, she was the one who took care of me at the hospital. Last night, even though she didn't talk to me, she hugged me in the middle of the night. Her arms smelled so nice. She didn't smell like a bad person at all." The internet fell silent for a few seconds. Forget it. You're only 5. Auntie won't scold you for having no backbone. But I do have one question. If she's really as nice as you say, and you like her that much, why doesn't she talk to you normally? The poster replied, "It's not her fault, it's my problem. New mommy is too pretty. She's even prettier than the princesses in cartoons. Whenever she looks at me, I get so nervous I can't talk, and my face feels hot. I don't know what's wrong with me. Daddy is always busy, so I don't dare ask him." The netizens understood immediately. Ha ha ha, got it. I react the same way when I see a pretty woman. We adults call that being shy. I stared at the screen, almost unable to believe it. Every time I had tried to talk to Emily Vance in the past, she would either turn her face away and refuse to look at me, or blush as red as a ripe apple. I had thought she disliked me. I had thought the sight of me annoyed her. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that it was because she was shy. I picked up my phone and admired myself through the front-facing camera. For the first time in my life, I felt genuinely happy about being pretty. Now that I knew this had all been one huge misunderstanding, I was suddenly filled with motivation. I made up my mind. Today I was definitely going to have a proper heart-to-heart with her. I spent 2 full hours carefully getting ready and sprayed on the perfume she liked the most. Then, just as I was about to head out looking beautiful and pick her up from school, my phone rang. It was her teacher. She said Emily Vance had gotten into a fight at school. The second I heard the words "got into a fight," my heart shot straight up into my throat. Emily Vance was so small and soft. How could she possibly win a fight against anyone? I hadn't even parked the car properly before I rushed straight into the teacher's office. "Who hit my Emily? Bring them out." The teacher coughed lightly when she heard me. "Ma'am, please calm down first." "Calm down? How am I supposed to calm down? My Emily got hit. It was Emily who hit someone first." I froze on the spot. Then I gave 2 awkward little laughs. Only then did I notice that there were other people in the office. Lysandra Blackwell's mother pointed at the bump on her daughter's forehead and shouted at me, "My daughter was perfectly fine, and your child punched her. So tell me, how are we settling this?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I turned and walked over to Emily Vance, then bent down in front of her. "Emily, did you hit her?" The little girl pressed her lips together and nodded gently. "Can you tell me why you hit her?" But she only lowered her head. Her tiny hands clenched tightly together, and she didn't say a single word. Beside us, Lysandra Blackwell's mother let out a cold snort, her tone sharp and cruel. She always looked so gloomy. I knew she wasn't a good kid. To think she'd attack her own classmate that hard. So vicious at such a young age. What will she become when she grows up? If you ask me, a child like this should be expelled immediately. Who knows what trouble she'll cause next time? Every word landed like a needle. Emily Vance instantly trembled with fear, tears welling in her eyes. I straightened up at once, and stepped in front of her, blocking her from view. My gaze turned cold as I looked at Lysandra Blackwell's mother. "Before we figured out what actually happened, I suggest you watch your mouth, otherwise I don't mind seeing you in court." Only then did she finally shut up. I led Emily to the side, crouched down until my eyes were level with hers, and softened my voice. "Maud, Auntie believes you wouldn't hit someone for no reason. Did something happen that made you feel wronged? Don't be scared. It's just the 2 of us here. No matter what happened, Auntie will stand on your side. Most of the time when a child doesn't dare to speak, it's because they're afraid." So I slowly patted her back, calming her down and giving her as much safety as I could. After a while, she finally squeezed out a few tiny words. She pulled my hair. "Just because she pulled your hair, you hit her? Aren't you a little too petty?" Lysandra Blackwell's mother suddenly shouted. Emily Vance flinched instinctively, and tears spilled down her cheeks. I couldn't take it anymore. I turned sharply, grabbed a fistful of Lysandra Blackwell's mother's hair, and yanked it down. She screamed in pain. "Are you insane?" I sneered, mimicking her tone exactly. "It's just hair pulling, isn't it? Such a tiny little thing. Why are you getting so angry? She was so stunned by my response that she couldn't say a word. As it turned out, Lysandra Blackwell had pulled Emily Vance's hair again and again. Even after Emily told her to stop, she only pushed further. Emily had finally reached her limit, and shoved her. No one expected Lysandra to hit her forehead by accident. Once the truth came out, both children were criticized and taught a lesson by the teacher. Since Lysandra Blackwell's injury was more obvious, I agreed to the teacher's suggestion and paid for the medical expenses. After we left the school, I looked at the little girl's defeated, drooping expression. Without saying anything, I turned and took her into a cake shop, where I bought her favorite strawberry cake. Once her mood slowly settled, I tried asking gently, "Emily, if someone at school bullies you, why don't you tell someone at home? Even if you don't want to tell me, you can tell your dad." She lowered her head, her fingers unconsciously picking at the edge of the table. Her eyes were still red. Then it suddenly hit me. This wasn't the right time to keep asking questions. She was still so young. She had just been scolded in public by an adult outsider. Of course she hadn't recovered from it yet. What I should be doing was comforting her, not pressing her over and over again. I was just about to reach out and hug her when a thin, tiny voice came from beside me. I didn't dare. I softened my voice even more and asked patiently, "Why didn't you dare?" Cindy was bullied by the class monitor. When she went home and told her mommy asked why the class monitor didn't bully anyone else and only bullied her. She even told Cindy to reflect on herself. Cindy cried. After hearing that, my heart ached. "So you were worried we would be like Cindy's mom and not take your side, right?" She buried her head even lower and murmured quietly, "I don't like talking, I'm not cute at all." I couldn't hold back anymore. I pulled her tightly into my arms. At first she froze, her whole little body stiff. But after she slowly relaxed, she instinctively rubbed herself into my embrace. I leaned close to her ear and said gently, "Emily, you have to remember this. No matter what happens, your dad and I will always be with you. We will always be on your side. And who said you aren't cute? In my heart, you are the cutest little girl in the whole world." She lifted her head, her eyes still full of hurt. "But everyone says I'm a weird kid." I gently stroked her little face and patiently comforted her. "You're not a weird kid. Your personality is just different from other people's. It's like flowers in a garden. Some bloom brightly and noisily, while others bloom quietly. Would you think a quiet flower is strange?" She tilted her head and thought about it, then shook her head. "No, exactly. Every flower has its own kind of beauty. And you are the special, beautiful little flower in the garden." On the way home, I tried getting her to share a little about her life at school. She tilted her small head and asked me very seriously, "What does share mean?" "It means telling me about the things that happened to you today. Fun things, not so fun things, anything at all." The little girl nodded as if she half understood. And then she really started from the moment she entered kindergarten that morning. The security guard had greeted her. She had played on the slide with the other children. She even told me exactly what dishes she had eaten for lunch. Children don't speak with much structure. Their thoughts fly all over the place. One second they're talking about one thing, the next second they've already jumped to another topic. I didn't interrupt her. I only followed her words and responded at the right moments. "I got first place building with blocks today." "Wow, you got first place building with blocks today?" "The teacher said I ate really cleanly at lunch and even gave me a little toy." "Wow, your teacher even rewarded you with a toy?" I had once seen something online that said when you chat with a child, you only need to follow along with what they say. That way the child can truly feel valued. They'll know that even the smallest things in their life are being held carefully in someone's heart. At first I hadn't really believed it. I always thought that kind of response sounded a little perfunctory. But after trying it today, I had to admit it really worked. The little girl became more and more excited as she talked, her tiny mouth chattering non-stop. "See? There's no such thing as a child who doesn't like to talk. They simply haven't met someone willing to listen patiently yet. So often we get used to demanding things from children with an adult's way of thinking, but we forget to bend down and seriously catch every sentence they try to hand us." The car suddenly went quiet. I turned my head and found her staring at me, her little cheeks flushed red. "I like you," she said softly. "Can I call you mommy from now on?" My heart was instantly knocked soft by that one sentence. If I hadn't been driving, I would have pulled her into my arms and kissed her twice right then and there. "Of course you can." I tried hard to hold back my excitement, but my voice still trembled a little. "I'll tell you a secret. I've actually thought of you as my precious daughter for a long time." She covered her mouth and giggled, her whole little body shaking with laughter. When we got home, the moment I opened the door, the smell of food drifted out. Adrian Vance was wearing an apron, busy in the kitchen. I got off work early today, he said, so I made your favorites. Go wash your hands and come eat. The dishes on the table looked, smelled, and tasted like they had been made with care. They were still steaming hot. But right now, I had something more important to do. I want to talk to you first. Adrian Vance looked at me blankly. In the study, I didn't bother beating around the bush. Someone at school has been giving Emily nicknames. The moment I saw his pupils tighten, I knew he hadn't known about it. But I could understand that too. He was only one person. He had to work, earn money, and take care of a child all at the same time. Welcome to Hehe History Channel. Subscribe to follow all our latest adventures. It wasn't that I didn't want to handle it myself. It was just that Adrian Vance was Emily's father. It would be more appropriate for him to go than me. Besides, whenever he dropped Emily off at school, he was always rushing to get to work. He didn't even get out of the car. Before I came along, even parent-teacher meetings were attended by the nanny. Some children had even thought Emily didn't have a father. This time, it was the perfect chance for him to show his face. He nodded, guilt thick in his voice. This is my fault. I've been too busy lately and neglected Emily. I'll go tomorrow. After that matter was settled, I hesitated for a moment. I'm just curious. Is Emily's mother especially busy? Why have I never seen her contact Emily? I mean, even if they're divorced, the child is innocent. No matter what, she should at least come see her. The reason I asked was because when I left the office earlier that day, I had accidentally overheard a few teachers gossiping. They said Emily Vance was pitiful, her parents had divorced, and her father had even found her a stepmother. On the way home, I kept thinking about it. Was Emily Vance so quiet because her biological mother wasn't around? If her real mother spent more time with her, would she become more cheerful? Adrian Vance opened his mouth, as if he wanted to say something. Actually, Emily, my phone suddenly rang. It was Lysandra Blackwell's mother sending over the medical exam bill. She had taken Lysandra Blackwell for a full-body checkup. Thankfully, there was nothing wrong. I saved the report and transferred the money to her. Only after I finished dealing with everything did I remember what Adrian Vance had been about to say. Oh right, what were you going to tell me just now? His expression had already returned to normal. Nothing. Let's go eat first. Adrian Vance's ability to take action was astonishing. Early the next morning, he arrived at the school and brought a lawyer with him. The principal was so frightened that he immediately pulled up the surveillance footage. The truth came out quickly. The person who had given Emily those nicknames was a new intern teacher. Emily didn't like talking. Usually she wouldn't take the initiative to greet teachers, and even when someone helped her, she was too scared to say thank you. So the intern teacher privately complained that she was a block of wood, a silent gourd, and a weird kid. After saying it too many times, she eventually slipped. One time she accidentally said it in front of the children in class. Children imitate what they hear, and soon they started calling Emily those names too. In the end, the intern teacher was fired. The principal personally apologized to Emily as well. Because of this incident, I found myself looking at Adrian Vance in a new light again. I really couldn't tell. You're usually so quiet, but when you actually do something, you're surprisingly decisive. The man in front of me actually turned red at the ears. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How could he be this shy, like some innocent young man? I couldn't help teasing him. Did Emily's mother never praise you before? The moment the words left my mouth, he lifted his head. His deep gaze looked straight at me. My heart gave a sudden thump. Had their divorce been ugly? Had I stepped on a landmine? Clara, there's something I want to explain to you clearly. Seeing how serious he looked, I couldn't help getting nervous too. I quickly sat up straight. Go ahead. Emily isn't actually my biological daughter. She's my older sister and brother-in-law's child. He paused and his voice grew low. That year they were driving back to celebrate my birthday with me. On the way they got into a car accident. In that instant I understood everything. He had adopted Emily because he wanted to protect the child his late family had left behind. It was his way of making up for the regret he carried in his heart. Outsiders didn't know the truth, so they spread rumors carelessly, saying Emily was the child he had with his first love. Watching his eyes gradually redden, I suddenly didn't know what to do with my hands or feet. When Emily cried, I could still pull her into my arms and comfort her. But this was the first time I had ever dealt with a grown man crying. I truly had no idea what I was supposed to do. After hesitating for a moment, I clumsily copied the way I usually comforted Emily, and raised my hand to gently pat the top of his head. Unexpectedly, he looked even more upset. His cheeks, ears, and even his neck all flushed red. Ever since I started guiding Emily Vance to share her daily life with me, and seriously responded to the things she said, she had become much more cheerful. She no longer stayed quietly by herself all the time. Every day when she came home, She would stick to my side and chatter non-stop. Even during meals she couldn't stay quiet. Her mouth would be full of food, but she would still keep talking. I couldn't understand a single word, so I could only use the all-purpose phrases I had learned online. Really? How did that happen? You're amazing. But after hearing them too many times, the little girl actually got smarter. One time she excitedly talked for a long while. I happened to be busy replying to a work message and hadn't really heard her clearly, so I casually responded with a few more empty phrases. She immediately tilted up her little face and looked at me. Mommy? Then tell me what I just said. Exposed on the spot, I was unbearably embarrassed. I spent 2 whole hours building blocks with her, and repeatedly promised that I would never do that again. Only then did she reluctantly forgive me. That incident made me truly realize something. Children's hearts are actually very sensitive. Even the slightest bit of perfunctory behavior from you will be magnified 10 times in their hearts. So when it comes to children, you have to be sincere. I didn't know whether it was because Emily Vance getting called names at school had made Adrian Vance feel guilty, leaving him desperate to make it up to her, or whether he was actually about to lose his job. The man who used to be so busy he barely touched the ground somehow became even freer than I was. Every day he took it upon himself to drop Emily Vance off at school and pick her up afterward. When he came home, he would change up the menu and cook something new. After cooking, he even made dessert. Watching him take his time in the kitchen, slowly studying recipes like he had all the leisure in the world, I was getting anxious on his behalf. You're not about to get laid off, are you? After hearing my careful analysis, the usually stiff and serious man suddenly laughed. My face heated. I was so used to seeing him expressionless all the time. Seeing him smile out of nowhere actually made me a little uncomfortable. I'm the boss, he said. Who would dare lay me off? I was stunned. You're the boss? Judging from the paycheck he handed over every month, it really didn't look like it. As if he had heard me silently grumbling in my heart, he smiled and explained. What I take every month right now is just my salary. The year-end dividends will be transferred to you all at once. Don't worry. I told you I'd give you a good life, and I'll make sure I do. I laughed awkwardly, and quickly turned away. With Adrian Vance at home, my little life was almost too comfortable. Afternoon tea, desserts, late-night snacks, every day was different. But Emily Vance didn't seem very happy about it. It all started because the little girl tried to use the same trick again, coaxing Adrian Vance into playing games with her. After Adrian Vance saw through it, he refused to fall for it no matter what she said. Now, whenever Emily Vance saw him, she would puff out her cheeks and pout angrily. The little girl didn't say anything in front of us. But the moment she turned around, she ran online to ask her aunties what she should do. The netizens were enthusiastic as always, throwing out one idea after another. Isn't that easy? If you can't beat your dad, then just go straight for your mom. Share your snacks with her, tell her your secrets, and praise her every once in a while. That's how my mom and I became besties. That night, just as we were getting ready for bed, Emily Vance appeared at the doorway with an armful of snacks. I have a secret to tell Mommy. Daddy, can you go out first? What kind of secret? Adrian asked. Daddy wants to hear it too. It's girl stuff. Daddy, stay out of it. Poofed. I couldn't hold back my laughter. If I remembered correctly, that was something a netizen had said in the comments. This little girl really did learn from everywhere. Looking at her bright, expectant eyes, my heart softened. I lifted my foot and nudged Adrian Vance. You heard her. This is girl stuff. You're sleeping in the guest room tonight. He smiled helplessly and gently closed the door behind him as he left the room. Emily Vance spread her snacks across the bed like she was presenting treasure. Goldfish crackers, fruit snacks, little cookies, jelly cups. Well, quite the collection. Looks like I'd have to clean out her snack cabinet tomorrow, and find a chance to talk to Aunt Maria too. A child was still growing. She couldn't keep eating this kind of junk food all the time, and she definitely couldn't keep playing with a phone all the time either. Mommy already brushed her teeth, so we'll eat the snacks tomorrow. Didn't you say you had a secret to share with me? You can tell me now. The little girl leaned closer and even raised one hand to shield the side of her mouth. Seeing how serious she looked, I thought I was really about to hear some huge secret. Excited, I quickly leaned my ear toward her. But what I received was 50% warm air, 30% chicken snack flavor, 10% milk candy sweetness, 5% ticklish ear, and the remaining 5% was the secret she wanted to tell me. At lunch today, while the teacher wasn't looking, she had secretly thrown away her broccoli. I only told you, she said solemnly. Don't tell Daddy, okay? Seeing how serious she was, I smiled and agreed. Okay, okay. I definitely won't tell your dad. Last time I had seen her ask the internet how she could cuddle with me. I had waited for so long, but she still hadn't come over to hug me. So I decided to take the initiative. Emily, I get cold at night. Can I hug you while we sleep? In the darkness, the little girl's eyes lit up instantly. She immediately burrowed into my arms, but her mouth still pretended to be haughty. Then I'll let you hug me for a little bit. I said nothing. I only focused on squishing and rubbing her little cheeks. In the middle of the night I woke up because I needed to use the bathroom. When I opened my eyes, I found that she was still holding tightly onto me, her little mouth moving slightly as if she was talking in her sleep. I quietly leaned closer and clearly heard her soft, milky voice. Mommy, I like you so much. It felt as if my heart had been wrapped in a warm cloud of cotton, sweetness spreading through every inch of me. I turned onto my side and carefully hugged the tiny person in my arms back. Then I pressed a silent kiss to her forehead. Emily Vance had become more and more attached to me lately. Every day when she came home, she would call mommy mommy non-stop. She had even gotten too lazy to update her posts. But that day, after coming back from school, she did the opposite of what she usually did. She locked herself in her room and refused to even eat dinner. A faint uneasiness rose in my heart. I quickly opened my phone. The account that hadn't updated in a long time had posted something new half an hour ago. Aunties, what should I do? This afternoon, an auntie came to find me. She said she was supposed to be my mommy, and that my current mommy stole her place. The comments instantly exploded. Why does this sound kind of juicy? Poster, that auntie who came to find you, she wouldn't happen to be your dad's first love, would she? That was my first thought too. The first love was forced away by the evil supporting female character, and years later, she returns reborn to take back everything that belonged to her. Emily Vance was completely confused and asked what first love meant, and what an evil supporting female character was. The netizens rushed to explain. She immediately grew anxious and started defending me. My mommy is not an evil supporting female character. My mommy is the kindest mommy in the whole world. I don't like that auntie at all. I only want my mommy. Seeing that, everyone quickly comforted her. Don't be mad, Poster. We were just joking earlier. But we don't really know what's going on in your family, so we don't dare give random advice. Maybe you should just tell your dad directly. What if her dad finds out he was deceived and divorces in anger? The child is already so pitiful. She finally met a stepmom who treats her well. Who can guarantee the next one will be good to her too? Emily Vance didn't reply. That night, unlike before, she didn't come knocking on our door with her stuffed bunny in her arms. Emily, aren't you coming over to sleep with your mommy? She hid under her blanket and shook her head. Daddy, I won't fight you for mommy anymore. Please don't divorce her, okay? Adrian Vance froze for a second. After a moment of silence, he only reached out and tucked the blanket around her. But the uneasiness in my heart only grew stronger. My intuition told me that the auntie Emily had mentioned was Imara Bennett. I opened the social media feed I had long since muted, and sure enough, everything confirmed my guess. Half a year ago, Imara had taken one look at Adrian Vance's photo and looked down on him for being dull and boring. She swore she would never marry a stiff, silent man like that, then turned around and chased after her so-called soulmate. My parents believed their precious daughter could find someone better. They looked down on Adrian Vance. But they didn't dare offend the superior who had acted as the matchmaker. So they forced me to go on the blind date in Imara Bennett's place. I was the failed product of their attempt to have a son. Who I married had never mattered to them. As long as they could get past the matchmaker, that was enough. Back then, I had already had enough of my parents' favoritism. All I wanted was to escape my original family, as quickly as possible. Looking back now, the idea of using marriage to escape a bad situation was honestly dangerous. I had simply been lucky enough to meet Adrian Vance. Otherwise I would have been jumping from one fire pit straight into another. From Imara's updates, I learned that she had indeed found her soulmate, a poor artistic literary man. But not long after, the two of them broke up. Then, after seeing Adrian Vance's business thriving and watching me live well, she became jealous. And now, she had begun to regret it. But I was no longer that little child who couldn't even protect a single piece of candy. She wanted to destroy my family. I planned to confront Imara Bennett face to face. The moment I opened the door, I heard Adrian Vance's voice coming from the living room. For Clara's sake, I can let go of the things you did before, but if you dare run to my daughter again and fill her head with nonsense, don't blame me for being ruthless. Imara was enraged by his blunt warning, and her expression instantly turned ugly. Adrian, you were deceived. Clara Bennett isn't with you because she loves you. From beginning to end, she was only after your money. My parents, sitting beside her, immediately echoed her words. That's right. Clara Bennett has been full of schemes since she was young. She has always loved stealing things from her older sister. The matchmaker originally introduced you to Amara. Clara Bennett found out you had money, then secretly went to meet you behind our backs. Son-in-law, the person you should have married is Amara. They knew Adrian Vance hated deception more than anything. They were certain he would fly into a rage. Unexpectedly, he only gave a faint "oh," his voice so calm it was almost unbelievable. On the first day Clara and I met, she told me everything. I also know exactly how you usually treated her. Would you like me to list it all out one by one? My parents' faces turned green, then white. Amara Bennett's eyes were filled with unwillingness. What exactly is so good about Clara Bennett that makes you so devoted to her? Is it just because she's willing to be your daughter's stepmother? I can do that too. I can even do it better than her. I can also give you a son. Adrian Vance let out a low laugh, his tone filled with contempt. Clara would never use a child as a bargaining chip. Just based on that alone, you will never compare to her. I'm thinking about you. Emily Vance is just a money-losing burden. She'll marry out when she grows up. With such a large family business, how can you not have a son? The moment those words fell, Adrian Vance's usually steady expression turned frighteningly cold. Before he could speak, I walked straight into the living room and raised my hand, slapping Amara hard across the face. She covered her cheek and stared at me in disbelief. My mother shot to her feet. Clara Bennett, how dare you hit your sister? I looked at her calmly and said, word by word, she is not my sister. What do you mean? Are you trying to cut ties with us? That's right. I took a deep breath. All the emotions that had been buried inside me for years finally burst out at that moment. For all these years, you gave all your love and all your money to Amara. From now on, just pretend you only have her as your daughter. I took Adrian Vance's hand and turned away without hesitation, walking out of that cold house. The moment I stepped outside, the tears I had held back for so long still fell uselessly. Adrian Vance clumsily wiped them away for me, but his voice was firmer than it had ever been. Don't be afraid, you still have me. That was right. I still had Adrian Vance. I still had Emily. They were the family I had chosen for myself. Parents and siblings were nothing more than relationships randomly assigned by fate. That evening, when we went to pick Emily up from school, Adrian Vance and I stood side by side at the school gate. Emily Vance's little face, which had originally looked gloomy and uneasy, instantly bloomed into a bright smile. Like a happy little bird, she ran toward us on her short little legs. Mommy, Daddy. She threw herself into my arms, then immediately grabbed Adrian Vance's hand. Her small body swayed from side to side, unable to hide her joy. When she heard us say that we would never separate and never divorce, the little girl became even happier. She chattered nonstop the whole way home. I looked at the two figures in front of me, one big and one small, and the corners of my mouth lifted before I even realized it. Blood relatives might not always bring warmth. The two people before me were the family I truly wanted to hold on to, the people I could lean on and protect in return. The end. Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.